Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. Today we'll discuss an interesting topic as it's brought in connection with Parshas Bereshis. Parshas Bereshis obviously is Maaseh Bereshis, where Hashem creates the world in 6 days and all its details. But then there's a pasuk that says when after Hashem creates, Vayivra Elikim es ha'adam, Hashem created Adam, Zachar in a keva bara Isam, he created a male, female, and the pasuk says, Vayivarech Isam Elikim, and Hashem blessed them. Vayayim Alehem Elikim, and Hashem says to them, Pru urvu umilua sa'aretz, multiply, fill the world, fill the earth, and subdue him. Uradu bidgas hayam, and rule over all the fish of the sea. Over oif hashamayim, and rule over the birds. Over chol chaya haremeses ala aretz, and rule over everything that moves on the earth. But the pasuk continues, and the pasuk says, Vayomer Elikim, Hine nasati lechem es kol esev zoyrei azera. Hashem is saying this to Adam and Chava, and says, I have given you kol esev zoyrei azera, all grass, asher panei kol haaretz. Ves kol ha'etz, I'll give you all trees, asher by pre-eitz zoyrei azera, any tree that produces fruit. Lachem yelachla, I give you permission that you are allowed to eat that. Ulechol chayas haaretz, ulechol oif hashamayim, and as Rashi explains, the same permission you have to eat the esev, and the same permission you have to eat the eitz the peiros, the same will apply for the chayas haaretz, for the oif hashamayim. They also have the same permission as kol yerek esev lacha. They also have the permission to eat the grass. So Rashi comes along, and Rashi will quote, as I assume, quote from the Gemara in Sanhedrin, and Rashi says like this, that all at this point in time, hishva lehem behemas v'chayas l'maychol. At this point in time, man, Adam, and the behema and the chaya were equal in what food they were permitted to eat. It was not permitted yet now for Adam Harishon and Chava to kill an animal to eat its flesh. Meat was not permitted. When did that come about? We'll soon see. That only came about after Noach, after the Mabul. Now, this is a Gemara in Sanhedrin. The Gemara in Sanhedrin, the Afnun Testament base says like this: Amarav Yehuda Amarav, Adam Harishon lo yehuta lo basar la'achila. Adam Harishon did not get the permission to eat meat. Ukshabo b'nei Noach hitir lahem. Only after the time of b'nei Noach, that's when they had the permission, as the pasuk says. After the Mabul, it says, Ki yerek esev nasati lechem es koil. Just, I gave you permission now, the permission expanded. It used to be only grass and fruits, and now you have permission to eat meat. And the Gemara goes on to ask many questions. How could this be, etc., etc. Some of the questions I will discuss. Meisvei, says the Gemara, I ask a question, Uradu bidgas hayam. It says you should rule over the fish. What does it mean to rule over the fish if you're not catching them to eat? My lav la'achila. Obviously, in the Parshas Bereshis, it already gave him permission to eat fish. Loi, says the Gemara, no, limalacha. You're ruling over the fish to get them to do work for you. Fish to do work? Frek the Gemara v'dagim b'nei malachim nenu. Dagim do any work? Says yes. Says the Gemara, yes. Yes, you could get some things done, some work done with fish. Kiderachva, as a statement or a question Rachva asked. The boy Rachva asked a question. Hinig be'iza v'shibuta mai. Rachva asked if somebody was walking along and tied together a iza, a goat, and a shibuta, and a fish. He tied them together, and they were schlepping along a wagon They were schlepping along. They did some work. Is that a shaila of kalayim, of shatnez, because it's a fish and an animal? So we see that you could do work with fish. Says the Gemara, okay, you answered me fish. How about uva'oifa shamayim? It says that you should rule over the birds. What kind of work do birds do? Obviously, it means you have control over them to eat them. And for the Gemara loy lemalacha, there are different jobs that can be done with birds too. Rabba bar Rav Huna, as Rabba bar Rav Huna asked a question. Dash ba'avazim v'tarne goylim. Rabba bar Rav Huna asked, if somebody's threshed, you're not allowed to thresh two different animals together, a shur and a chamer, a donkey and an ox, they're not allowed to do a threshing together for many reasons. What would be the halacha if somebody used ducks and chickens to do some threshing? So obviously, we see that certain level of malacha could be done with that. Anyways, so the halacha, the Gemara comes out from this is like this, that in the time of Adam Arishan until Noach, Adam was only allowed to eat. He was vegetarian. Adam Arishan was only allowed to eat Esav Asada and Eitz Pri Esav Pri, fruits. Later on, and there's different explanations why only after the Mabul they were able to. You think it's a notch up. Now you get another permission. There are different explanations trying to discuss why is it that only after the Mabul they got the permission. Now at the same time, you have to know that Noach, at the time of Noach, there was not officially, it was Kedem Matan Torah. So there wasn't yet the rule of what's kosher and what's non-kosher. So when Huta Lehem Basar, it meant all animals. And Chazal tell us that when Noach brought the animals to the Teva, it says he brought the Behema HaTahira, the kosher ones and the non-kosher ones. So Noach was an exception. Rashi says Noach knew the Torah. He knew what eventually will become kosher, and that's what he knew, what was Tahira or not Tahira. But concerning the permission of killing an animal, killing a living thing to eat its flesh, the permission went to all animals at that period of time. Now, there are many, many discussions and beautiful discussions about this topic. First of all, it would be shocking to say that we know that there are many chayos, many non-domesticated animals that comfortably, their way of life is eating other animals. So, and there is no mention yet anywhere that too didn't happen until the Bnei Noach. So the Rebbe has a beautiful sikha explaining if it was that way or not. And second of all, as I mentioned before, there's a lot to be discussed. Why, at the beginning, he was only, quote-unquote, a vegetarian. That was the only permission given to him. And eventually, we gave him more. The Torah gave him more. So one of the details that I would like to share with you is the Rebbe says that a person has to know, that Adam Arishan has to know, and from there on, we all have to know, that it all depends on the permission of Hashem, what Hashem gives you. It's as smart as you are, as intelligent as you are, as how much work as you put into produce things, it's all depending on what here's Shalahem, what Hashem gives you permission to eat. So in the first generations, Hashem only gave them Esav and Eitz and Pri. And eventually, after Noach, Hashem gave us an additional permission that you could even eat basar.